So, good morning everyone. Today, in the previous class, we had already discussed about what is pharmaceutical microbiology, what are the different branches in the pharmaceutical microbiology, and also we had discussed about history of the pharmaceutical microbiology. In the history of pharmaceutical microbiology, we had discussed what are the previous inventions or discoveries that are made by great scientists. And now today we are going to discuss about what are the importance and also the scope of pharmaceutical microbiology. Now coming to the scope and importance of pharmaceutical microbiology, the first and foremost importance is production of antibiotics. So what is an antibiotic? Antibiotic is a drug which is derived from the microorganisms or bacteria itself to kill the same or to inhibit the growth of same microorganism or same bacteria. So these antibiotics are derived from the bacteria or microorganisms. So this production of antibiotic is the first and foremost importance and scope for the pharmaceutical microbiology. Examples are penicillin from the Penicillium notatum. Okay, now coming to the next scope and importance. The first one is enzymes, vaccines, biosurfactants, alcoholic preparations and other pharmaceutical products. These are used for sterilization purposes or to inhibit the growth of microorganisms on the surface areas, for the production areas, not only for the production areas, also on the floors too. So the Lysol preparation which we use normally in our floor, in our household purposes for the cleaning the floor areas, that is nothing but a biosurfactant. So that kills the bacteria that are present on the surface areas. So these all are prepared in the pharmaceutical microbiology itself. And also coming to the vaccines and enzymes. So coming to the enzymes, so these enzymes which are present in our body or in our gut are also prepared in the microbiological purposes or in the laboratories for the microbiological purposes. That means, so for curing a particular disease and also for vaccines. So vaccines are nothing but the attenuated microorganisms preparation, right? So vaccines means, so to cure a disease or to produce an antibodies or to prevent a particular disease, we are going to inject an attenuated microorganisms. So these attenuated microorganisms are nothing but the microorganisms which do not have violent properties anymore. So these are prepared and injected into a human body so that they produce an antibodies that prevents the disease furthermore in future. Okay, so all these are produced or all these are synthesized in the pharmaceutical microbiology itself. Now coming to the next scope and importance. So here the disease diagnosis or the treatment regarding particular disease is performed in the pharmaceutical microbiology itself. For example, ELISA or viral test. Here in the ELISA or viral test, we would take a particular antigen from a particular place and we would inject the antibodies that are present in a particular patient. So if a particular patient is suffering from a fever, what we do is we would collect the sample of blood from him and we would separate the antibodies that are present in his serum. So now this serum is subjected to the antigens which are present on a plate or in a surface of a media. Now when the serum is injected into this antigen preparation, so a clotting of antibodies and antigens happens. So if this clotting has been happened, that means the patient do contains the antibodies, that means they are already infected from these microorganisms. So similarly, if the particular disease is identified, then we can treat them too. Now coming to the next importance. So treatment of industrial waste materials has been happening. So how do we treat these industrial wastes? So now normally if the particular industry is having a particular waste materials, they are generally leaving or disposing all these waste materials into surrounding areas that may pollute the air, that may pollute the water in the surrounding areas. So to prevent this pollution, nowadays all these waste materials are treated or decomposed by using certain microorganisms. So we can prevent some extent of pollution by using these microorganisms in the pharmaceutical microbiology. Now coming to the next uses for the plant growth promotion and as well as for the sterile product preparation. So in a plant growth promotion, so what do we do is, here exactly we are going to take a particular cells from the particular plants, and we are going to place these cells in an artificial medium. So, and we are going to give that particular cells or particular artificial media a suitable environment for its proper growth. Not that all the microorganisms do damage or do spoil the plant parts or do spoil the food or do cause violent properties. Some sort of microorganism would also help the promotion of a particular plant part, or they also help in growth too. So those bacteria or those microorganisms can be injected into the artificial media, and these plant parts can be promoted, or the growth is promoted. Now coming to the next use or next importance, sterile product preparation. So sterile products are nothing but they are free from microorganisms. So when we are going to take a particular drug or particular surfactant or particular any sort of products, we would make sure that they are free from any sort of microorganisms. So for this purpose, we would use or we would opt for sterile areas where the microorganisms are inhibited. So all this can be done in the pharmaceutical microbiology. Coming to the next use, so as we had said in the previous point, we are going to prepare particular sterile products by using these sterilization procedures or techniques. One is called as moist heat sterilization, the other one is called as dry heat sterilization or membrane filtration. So in the moist heat sterilization, we would use steam as a source of killing microorganisms or to inhibit the microorganisms. Now in the dry heat, we would use heat or temperature as a source for killing the microorganisms. And in the membrane filtration, we would just filter the solutions by using a filter paper so that the microorganisms which are present in that particular solution can be filtered out by using a filter paper. Now coming to the next one. So here we can also prepare steroids by using certain microorganisms. We can produce or we can prepare the particular steroids as well as hormones like progesterone, testosterone. Now coming to the next scope or next importance, here we can identify the microorganisms based upon their morphological properties as well as the cultural properties. That means cultural properties means where we can grow the microorganisms by producing or by supplying them an artificial medium. Coming to the microscopic study, by observing these microorganisms under the microscopes, be that a light microscope or contrast microscope. So by observing the properties of morphological structures under the microscope, we can identify the microorganisms. Coming to the last scope or importance, so here we can test the pharmaceutical products as well as the raw materials before preparing a particular product or before supplying them into the market, so that we can inhibit or we can control the damage or we can control the side effects that are caused by the microorganisms. So these are the importance as well as these are the scope of pharmaceutical microbiology. Coming to the next topic, we are going to discuss about the structure of the bacteria. So if we remember the previous topics or previous slides, we had previously discussed about what are the two types of microorganisms that are present. One is a prokaryotic cell and also the other one is eukaryotic. And we had also discussed the point that pro means a primitive one and eu means a new one. So coming to the bacteria is an example for prokaryotic cell. That means a primitive one, the initial, not an evoluted cell but an initial or previous cell. Coming to the bacteria, what about its structure? So bacteria do contain two layers which are called as outer layer, which is surrounded outer layer, and beneath this outer layer it do contains a cell wall. So this outer layer do contains a cell wall as well as the plasma membrane. Cell wall is nothing but a protective layer and the plasma membrane is nothing but it compresses the whole cytoplasm which is present in the bacterial cell. So if you can see here, if you can see here, this outer layer is nothing but the cell envelope, and it is composed of two layers of cell wall. One is called as normal cell wall or outer layer, and the other one is called as plasma membrane. Now coming to the cell envelope, so it encloses the protoplasm, that means the inner green substance which is present in this particular yellow colored bacterial cell wall, if you can observe. And it also comprises ribosomes, mesosomes, vacuoles, and also the nuclear body. Since this is a prokaryotic cell, as we had already discussed, prokaryotic cell does not contain a distinguished nucleus, right? So it does not contain a distinguished nucleus. Distinguished nucleus means the nucleus which is composed of a nuclear cell wall or nuclear wall. So it only just contains a DNA material or other material called as nucleoid. So here in this bacterial cell, we would observe an outer envelope which is composed of two membranes. One is cell wall, the other one is cytoplasmic membrane. So this outer cell wall is useful for giving a particular shape for the bacterial cell, and its main function is to prevent this particular bacterial cell from expanding while reproducing or by after taking the nutrients. So this particular cell wall gives a particular shape for the bacteria, as well as it prevents the bacterial cell from expanding and also from bursting. Now coming to the next point, so this cell wall composed of, as we had already discussed, this cell wall is composed of two membranes. One is the outer membrane. This outer membrane is normally present in the gram-negative bacteria itself. So this gram-negative bacterial cell wall contains LPS, lipopolysaccharides. So that is the reason while performing the gram staining technique, when we have added the alcohol, this alcohol degrades the lipids that are present in the outer cell membrane. So after addition of alcohol, you would observe pores that are present on the surface of the gram-negative bacteria. Hence the colored cell constituents that are present inside the cell would come out, and they would appear as a colorless one. So only the gram-negative bacteria contains the outer membrane, and it is composed of lipopolysaccharides as well as the phospholipids. Now coming to the next membrane, that is called a cytoplasmic membrane. This is in both gram-negative as well as gram-positive bacteria, and this layer is the one which separates the outer layer or outer envelope from the cytoplasm that is present inside the cell. So if we can see in the previous slide here, this cytoplasmic membrane, so the inner membrane is the one which is separating the outer cell wall as well as the inner cytoplasmic constituents that are present inside the cell, which is in green color. Now coming to the next constituent or next cell constituent, so that is cytoplasm. So previously we are saying that the cytoplasmic membrane is the one which is separating the cytoplasm from the outer or external cell membranes or cell organelles, right? So this cytoplasm is nothing but this is a colloidal system which contains both the organic constituents as well as the inorganic constituents, as well as this also contains various cell organelles which are present in it or which are present in the cell, like ribosomes, DNA, and also there is another constituent called as mesosomes. So all these cell organelles are present in the cytoplasm itself, and they are rich in ribosomes mostly, as well as it is also rich in water constituent too. Coming to the next cell organelle, they are ribosomes as well as mesosomes. So ribosomes, as we had already know that ribosomes are mainly helpful for the transcription and translation processes, right? So while a particular cell is reproducing, we would observe that the DNA would be translated into or would be translated with the help of an mRNA, and with the help of the ribosomes itself, the proteins are synthesized from the mRNA. So the main function of the ribosomes are protein synthesis, and coming to the lysosomes. These are the convoluted as well as vesicular tubules which helps in the respiratory, which contains the respiratory enzymes and also helpful for the respiratory purposes in the cell or the microorganism, and also they would deal with the cell reproduction too. Now coming to the next cell constituent, this is an important constituent which is called as nucleus. As we had already discussed in the previous slides, this nucleus that is present in the bacterial cells, since this is a prokaryotic cell that does not contain any cell wall or nuclear membrane, it is a devoid of nuclear membrane, and hence it is also called as nucleoid, which contains the DNA material or the genetic material. Now coming to the next cell organelle. So the next cell organelle is flagella, and this flagella are present or are seen as a long hair-like filaments. If you can see here in the slide, in the diagram, this contains, you can see the long hair-like filaments that are attached on the surface, on the external surface of the cell or bacterial cell. So these are mostly useful for the attachment of or finding a particular place for that particular cell and to attach onto a surface of a particular host cell. And the flagella are either present on one side or on the entire surface of the bacterial cell or on the lateral sides too, on the both sides. Okay. Coming to the next cell organelle. So the last cell organelle of the bacterial cell is, so it is called as pili, and this is similar to flagella too. If you can see in the previous slide, they would appear similar to the flagella, but the difference between the flagella and pili is that here, if you can see, these shorter ones are called as pili, and these long hair-like filaments are called as flagella. So the main purpose of flagella is to attach onto a surface of a particular host cell. Now coming to these pili, these are mostly thin hair-like filaments, and also they are shorter when compared to the flagella. Now coming to the function of this particular pili, they are of two types. One is non-sex pili and the second one is sex pili. So the function of the non-sex pili is mostly the motility of the bacteria, of the motility of the cell. Motility is nothing but not only to attach onto the cell, but it also helps in the movement of the particular cell. Coming to the sex pili, this is an organ which helps in the transfer of genetic material from one cell to another cell while it is reproducing. Hence it is called as sex pili. Now coming to the important use of this pili, as we had already discussed in the previous point, this is helpful in the conjugation purpose, as well as this is the one organelle which helps in transformation of the genetic material from one cell to another cell. So this is about the morphology of the bacteria and different cell organelles in the bacteria. Thank you.